All right, welcome to our introduction to Gale in Context Opposing Viewpoints. So again, remember, if you want to get to our online resources page, the easiest way to do it is to go to any of your Schoology pages, and everyone should have a link in their page, classroom page, to Dominican High School online resources. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and that takes us to our starting place. Recall that these first ones are the more general, broad-based search resources you can use, and we are looking today at Gale in Context Opposing Viewpoints. And recall that we always have any login information you might need, especially when you're at home, will be provided right in the description of the resource. So let's click on Gale in Context Opposing Viewpoints. This is what the resource looks like. Again, up at the top, just as we did with SIRS Issues Researcher, you are going to want to go ahead and click on this to sign in to your Office 365, so it's easier for us to save our documents. You can see I'm already signed in here today. If you're not signed in, it's going to ask you to sign in. And I'm also going to ask you right away, just as we did with our SIRS Issues Researcher, I want you to open Noodle Tools. So recall that Noodle Tools is going to appear down here in this subset of more subject-specific resources. You're going to find research tools for students. There's lots of good stuff there, but Noodle Tools is right at the top. So you're going to launch Noodle Tools. And again, you would be prompted to log into that. Is going to be a great idea. That way, your project folders are already waiting here for you. So now that you've done those two things, you've logged into both Noodle Tools and into Gale using your Microsoft credentials, you're going to find this is going to be very easy to work with. So here's a quick little tour of how this one looks in comparison to the SIRS Issues Researcher. Both very similar resources. But again, just like in SIRS, we had leading issues. This one will have a little light bulb that you can browse issues. And you're going to see just pages and pages of different issues you can use for your research project. Now, we did banned books for my SIRS Issues Researcher, but I'm not finding banned books. But other related things to that would be, for example, censorship. So we'll go up and pull up that issue. All right, so you're going to see that they're going to start with an overview, very much like SIRS, where you'll see, all right, well, what exactly are they talking about with censorship? You can click the read more, and you can go through here and you will see there's lots of information. They will have main ideas. So this is what's really covered in here. Usually we'll also highlight other terms and ideas that would be connected to the area of censorship. So anyway, this is quite a detailed overview. I would say these overviews are perhaps a little more in detail than the SIRS Issue Researcher. So take it for what it is. There are different things going on here. Again, what I love with this is that you will get critical thinking questions. These are ways that you can start thinking about a thesis or what area you want to cover. If you keep going on down, you will see then the citation information. Right now it's defaulted to be MLA. So say you looked at this overview and you're like, this is actually great. I want to hang on to this. You can, just as you did with SIRS, you can export the citation to Noodle Tools. And Noodle Tools is going to say, well, what folder do you want to put that in? And I'm like, well, I'll put this in my Weiler folder. So that's sitting in there now. And then you may also say, well, I want to keep the article itself too, so I don't lose it. There are lots. I mean, you can print it, you could email it to you, but you've logged in to your OneDrive already. So if you click on this, it's going to throw it into your OneDrive, just like SIRS Issue Researcher did. So I'm going to show you where you're going to find that. Just as, if you remember from our other time, ProQuest SIRS Issues Researcher creates a folder for you. So I did not create this folder. This was created for me when I began saving documents from Opposing Viewpoints. You'll see I've also looked at things in Gale in Context High School and the Gale Literature Resource Center. So each Gale database will create its own folder so you can remember where your stuff came from. So if I look in that folder, I'm going to see this censorship overview that I just placed in there. Okay, so that's how it's going to be saved in your OneDrive. It's really very handy. I'm going to really strongly encourage you to do it so we don't lose our articles. They cannot make this any easier for you. All right, so this was the overview. Oh, now we got to go back because there was lots of other good stuff here. So now we're back at that main landing page when you clicked on censorship. You are going to see on this page, they're going to show you the number of resources under these different types of resources. So you'll see these starred, they call them the featured viewpoints. So that's like SIRS Issues Researcher, where they give you 3 pros and 3 cons to whatever the topic might be. Gale does not do that. They present within this group of 9 feature viewpoints, they're covering all different the different sides to this coin. So again, it's really important. I would start there and read what those viewpoints are, and that may help you then either fine tune into something really specific about censorship you want to do. Now, that's just the featured ones. You can see here that there's 212 other viewpoints. So these are going to be articles that are really trying to take one side or the other. As we continue to scroll down, you will find that there's references to biographies. There will be reference resources, so things that might come more out of encyclopedias, might be more definition type stuff. Infographics, you'll find some statistics. You will even find primary sources. Here's more stats for you. There will be a nice, robust bit of images. So if you were doing a project where you needed some pictures that could be used that are copyrighted, you could include those, being sure to cite where you received them from. There are videos. There are 32 videos. Most of them are coming from, for example, the New York Times has a huge video collection. PBS will be featured in here as well. So these are going to be videos that are not just someone made a video and threw it in there. These are things that have already been vetted by a company, a reputable company like ProQuest. Gale also is providing library resources. So everything that you're finding here, you're going to find has already been legitimized and tested, and you know that this is good information to use. Then you got magazines. What I love with Gale that I don't see in SIRS is audio. So they have taken interviews that come from a lot of shows that are on National Public Radio, so Morning Edition and All Things Considered. So you can actually click on those and listen to the recordings of those interviews to get yet another perspective on these issues. Then news, those are things that are coming from newspapers as opposed to magazines. And over here, you've got academic journals. So these are things that you'll see here, it's marked as peer-reviewed, meaning that they have also used sources that also came from scholarly journals, and other people have cited them. So these are going to be kind of like the highest of the highest information, authoritative information you can use. And you also get websites that are good websites, no fake websites here. Then at the very bottom, these are related topics to censorship. So you could do things in the media, you could do things in education. So you can see that then they will give you another pathway to something else. Do you see how I couldn't find banned books? That's because they're calling it book banning in Gale in context. So it's really good to really brainstorm all the different ways you could be looking for your information. Okay? So that is really a very quick, I think I've covered everything I wanted to show you in the Gale in context opposing viewpoints. All right, so that's my introduction to Gale in context opposing viewpoints.